Now that we have 90 days break from the trade war, we can think about the trade war.
The US-China trade war has eased, but I don't think things will ever go back to how they were.
For me, if there's one positive thing about the trade war, is that it makes a lot of people to think, at least for a little bit, that there's something behind all this trade. There's something behind all this made in China stuff. That is Chinese people just like you and me. It's just people are making these things. Okay, you drive on the road, somebody built a road. You don't have to be appreciative, but it would be nice. We pay tax. That's why the road gets built. The people who build the road get compensated. But when you drive on the road, knowing that somebody just like you built it so that you can drive on the road, it's a nice thing to do. The people who build the road will be really happy knowing that people are appreciative. All the people making your clothes, making your phone are just like that kind of people. And by giving, by feeling appreciative, the best thing it does is that when you do your repetitive work, all our work are repetitive. We don't know who's benefiting from our work. We have no way to know. Globalization, right? But if we know that people who benefit from our work will be appreciative, that will make our repetitive work meaningful, right? So you are doing something meaningful, and the meaning, if you never feel appreciative from anything that you get, from the road you drive, from the car you drive, from the clothes you're wearing, you don't believe somebody will genuinely feeling appreciative about your work, and you lose meaning. It's there, but you don't believe it. You don't believe it because you never genuinely feel appreciative. You lose meaning. It's karma. I don't know if I made the point clear.
I hate to break it to some of you, but tariffs were never intended to transform the U.S. economy, and the recent U.S.-China trade deal demonstrated exactly why. Because there were two things that were missing from that trade deal. One, any mention or commitment by China to reshore U.S. manufacturing or to build plants in America or to become more of a consumer-oriented economy. No commitments. And number two is generating enough tariff revenue to replace or eat into income taxes. We lowered the effective tariff rate on China from 145% down to 30%, and the only concession China made was agreeing to pay a little more than every other country because of their participation in the fentanyl trade. So they're at 30%, whereas the baseline is 10%. So yes, that tariff rate is a little more than what it was under Biden, for example, but it's hardly enough to shift, at least in a major, meaningful way, manufacturing from China to America. I'm sure there are small businesses who have been spooked by this that will reassess and reorient their supply chains, but it's not going to be a massive transformational overhaul, as many people were arguing was Trump's grand master plan to bring manufacturing completely back to America, to totally transform the economy. Another strand of rhetoric was about income taxes. Trump has repeatedly said we're going to be so rich, this is going to be a golden age for America, we're going to be bringing in all this tariff revenue. But if you look at what income taxes represent in the U.S. economy, they make up about 54% of the U.S. revenues, and that is about $2 trillion depending on the year. Double check my math, but we were making approximately $190 million per day before this U.S.-China deal was announced, where it was 145% tariffs on China. That would have taken over 10,000 days to reach what we annually generate in revenue from income taxes. Replacing tariffs with income taxes was never feasible, even with the prior rates. We would have to significantly tariff the world in order to generate $2 trillion annually from tariffs. At the end of the day, Trump's strategy really goes like this: impose tariffs, cause chaos and market volatility, reduce or remove tariffs, and act like you've won after a series of negotiations, even if you pretty much return to the same place where you started from. To the untrained eye, it may look like a lot's happening because there's all this chaos and movement and attention on the negotiations. But when you actually compare what happened from where we were to where we ended up, nothing really changed except the U.S. conceding quite a bit and China giving us really almost nothing in return. But as I argued in this article, sometimes appearing like winners is more important than actually winning itself, at least in political terms. You can find it at pollspanda.com.
This is for everybody who keeps saying that Trump is a sound businessman and the resulting suspension of the retaliatory tariffs between China and U.S. favors the U.S. It does not. When President Xi and President Trump agreed to a truce, the resulting numbers were the U.S. imports of Chinese products now had a 30% tariff, and Chinese imports of U.S. products now have a 10% tariff. Republicans are on social media right now talking about how this is such a huge win for Trump and his negotiation skills worked. No, they didn't. The biggest and most fascinating fallacy that exists in the MAGA side of politics is that they believe that our trade deficit is due to unfair tariffs put on U.S. products. China was tariffing U.S. imports way less than the U.S. was during the Biden administration. In most cases, a majority of U.S. imports of products to China only had around a 1.7% tariff rate. And under the Biden administration, we had increased the tariff on Chinese imports to around 19.6%, but there was the de minimis exception, which is how a lot of companies were able to bypass the 19.6% average tariff. The de minimis exception is super important because that basically allowed any company that was importing Chinese products that were valued underneath $800 to be exempt from the tariffs, but Trump has eliminated that. And the result of this is now U.S. consumers are going to pay 30% more for Chinese imported products, and this drastically impacts small businesses. Large corporations are going to be able to bypass this because they are figuring out ways to either have Chinese imports shipped from Vietnam or Hong Kong before they make their way to the U.S. Small businesses don't have this luxury. I truly don't understand why people would be celebrating a higher tax on American products that are imported from China when we have a $300 billion trade deficit. The whole purpose of these tariffs were meant to be able to encourage domestic manufacturing, but with a 30% tariff on Chinese imports, all that's happening right now is that there's just additional taxes that Americans have to pay. This doesn't even take into consideration the fact that the value of the US dollar did not rapidly rise at the same rate that the stock market did when these tariffs were suspended, which means that our exports are going to other countries at a much cheaper rate, but our imports are coming in at a much more expensive rate. The dollar is still weak. We are paying a higher tariff on imports of foreign goods, and all of this puts a squeeze on the American middle class. Why are you guys celebrating this?
So you create a problem, wage a war with not just one country, but several countries. Impact the everyday average Joe middle class person, both at the grocery stores, the goods that they purchase for their families on a day-to-day basis, even the small businesses. That didn't bother you. That was okay. If it meant, children having one doll as opposed to 10 dolls, doesn't matter, right? The large businesses start getting impacted. The billionaires and the millionaires start getting impacted. Now you're thinking twice. But by this time, you've already waged war with not just one country, but several, and also with a country that wasn't backing down. You picked a fight with the wrong individual. They not only doubled, but they tripled down on their response. You know why? Because they didn't start it. They did not start this war. It was a partnership. You decided to betray that partnership. And in an attempt of betrayal, you were under this impression that we would win, that their country would suffer more than we would. Then you begin to realize that all of these other countries are beginning to go around and purchase our debt. Our allies have now partnered up. My enemy's enemy is my friend. And you realize that, holy crap, they're about to tank our market. All they have to do is sell off that debt, and we are done. Now you come out with this trade deal, and you're looking for victory and praise from the very same individuals that were impacted by this decision that you made. No apology. No, hey, you know what? Let me take a little bit of accountability. I was in the wrong. None of that. Just, we're supposed to go on with our merry way and be okay. And then the worst part about all of this is the fact that your supporters, your flying monkeys, are just sitting around making excuses for this. Man, if this doesn't sound like my ex and his family, I don't know what is. This is crazy and very delusional. May I mind you, we're not even 1 year in. All this damage that's been done, we're not even a year in. Buckle up.
This has been such an incredibly frustrating few weeks for small business because we have absolutely no idea what kind of bills we're going to expect. Especially on, for example, I ordered a lot of product months ago. It takes months to create. I do import. So I place these orders prior to this 145% tariff. So you can imagine placing a huge order and then realizing that you are going to now be expected to pay this astronomical percentage on top of that is really scary for a small business. So I'll just tell you kind of what happened. And I'm more looking to see if anybody else is having this experience. So I placed an order months ago. My order is on the way. I don't have it yet. It's expected to be here today. So what happens is when you order things overseas, sometimes it goes through the clearance and the duty customs process as it's en route to you. So it's showing that it's going through customs today. I got a bill from DHL this morning at 7 a.m. and it said that if I want my package, I owe 145%. Now this package is valued under $800. So according to DHL's own website, as of today, that should be reduced to 30% for up to 90 days. So through August 10th. That's not what they're charging me. And I did end up paying it because I have customers waiting on their product. So I was charged more than what their own website says. So now when I reached out to chat, I've reached out through email, I've reached out through WhatsApp. They all blow me off. They all give me another number. All the numbers are disconnected. They sent me the duties dispute office, number disconnected. I called it again and it said, please call us back during business hours. I am in the business hours. So that phone number turned off. Callbacks, you're going to be waiting probably 12 hours. I've done like 3 chats now. I wasn't done chatting with them. They just disconnected me. So this is super frustrating because is it going to wreck my business? No. But is it very frustrating to pay several $100s more than you should have? Absolutely. That's money I can put into more product, into advertising, into a million other things other than duties. So I'm just curious, has anyone had any success disputing tariff fees, getting your money back? Because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but as of today, if I haven't received my item and it's still going through customs, I should only be paying 30%, not 100 and, well, I think it's 125 plus the 20% fentanyl crisis fee, which that would still apply, but I should be looking at roughly 50% versus 145. So let me know if anyone else is experiencing this too.
Meanwhile, in the last 100 days, this administration has quietly burned through over 200 billion, and there is nothing to show for it. But guess what? Guess who's winning? The Trump family has reportedly made over $3 billion in the last 3 months, and billionaires like Elon Musk are still collecting massive government contracts and backdoor funding while pretending to be anti-government. We don't even know where half the money is going anymore. This isn't leadership. This is organized crime at the highest level, and it is being done right out in the open. Every single day, I see citizens screaming, begging, and pleading for something to happen, and nothing happens. So maybe it's time we do something different. Maybe it's time we all focus on one thought. Because honestly, when we all focus on that one thing, it usually happens. So let's focus on this. Visualize, and I'm serious, visualize this entire administration being arrested. See them walked out of the White House in handcuffs. Picture that image so clearly in your mind that it feels completely real, because that's how we actually manifest our reality. Maybe we can create that. Maybe we can call it in. But until then, I'm asking you all to go to thepeoplesunionusa.com. See what we're all about. Buy a t-shirt, buy a coffee mug, donate, join our free community forum, and share this video, because no one is coming to save us. We are the ones that we've been waiting for, my friends. Please share. Thank you.
After the whole tariff mess, the US has pretty much lost the Chinese market, and it might be permanent. After China hit US goods with 125% tariff, exports like oil, LNG, soybeans, and beef almost stopped. While the US consumers are feeling the loss of Chinese goods, China quickly found alternatives, and this shift is speeding up. For instance, China ordered 2.4 million tons of soybeans from Brazil. Beef imports from Australia are up to 36%, and China is striking deals with Argentina for soybeans, corn, and vegetable oils. In energy, China secured long-term LNG contracts with Australia and is buying more oil from Canada. And these changes benefit China and its trade partners, but hurt the United States. Once the other countries fill the gap, the US will struggle to regain its market share in China. Now, with the US talking to China, it's clear that they get the long-term trade war is not going to work. The Geneva statement is a start, but lifting those tariffs is the key if USA still want to sell anything to China. Do you agree with me?
Apple's iPhone price slashed by up to a third in China. This is absurd. Just thinking how much profit that Apple are making on American people who doesn't have options. Now, Chinese company, doesn't matter who's buying their phone. They just want to make a phone that's not that expensive. Now, who's your enemy?
Amazing viewer, I'm glad that you watched this extent. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your love and support, Comfort for Life. Like, share, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comment section. As you think about this tariff, as you discuss about this trade and everything that's around trade that is now being out, it's now out there, you know, it's important to also acknowledge that we are on pause, and we are just hoping that you want to go back to square one, where the businesses that are trying to recover right now won't even be able to pick up again. I know they are trying to recover from the losses, but here some it will be possible to recover their businesses, and for some we have to acknowledge that they won't be able to get back on the business. And just imagine who are going to pay for all these damages caused by this tariff game that was going around, and who knows what coming next. It was a pause, and now that all these things are being revealed, now that the mask, everything that was hidden behind trade and the selfishness, all these things that are being exposed, I think they should give us a different perspective to how we do our things. It's a reality. It's not correct. Things are not the way they're supposed to be. But how do we respond to this? So it is time for you as a business owner. Sorry for the damages, but also it's a time for us to start thinking about the way forward. If politicians are finding their way out of these, trade and business and tariffs, if they're finding their way out, we also have to find our new normal. We have to find how we can go beyond. I just want to remind you that when Chinese were, when this started, Chinese were sharing the direct contacts with the manufacturers. I think this is the time now that you can break free, and the country is open. They say China was closed for a long time, but the country is open right now. You can travel, you can go and purchase direct from the factories. Also, do your due diligence to find out how you can have things direct from the source so that you can run your business. Because trade has got into politics. Things have been now mingled, and we don't know what to do. So it is time that you also find out. I'm just suggesting that you do so. As a small business owner. That was it about this video. That was my suggestion. Find out ways that you will get yourself out of this mess, and also that you won't find yourself back into the mess. And also knowing that there's a world beyond the world you're living in, it's also another good thing, It's also another good thing to acknowledge that we are international beings. We can move and move and move, For me, I cannot accept to settle in a country that doesn't really make me comfortable. That's why I'm a foreigner where I am right now. So that was it about this video. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate your love and support. Comfort for Life. Goodbye for now. I appreciate you.